If you're wondering how I clicked these classic shots of these hyenas and you'd like to click similar pictures, then I'll teach you how in this video. This is a story about immersing yourself in the splendor of nature's wonders and witnessing animal activity that few people have the chance to see. This otherworldly landscape is just a couple of hours' drive from the bustling city of Pune in India. However, the weather here is a world apart. During summer, from March to June, the scorching dry heat can leave your skin burning red under the blazing sun. Because of this heat, we hardly ever see nocturnal animals like hyenas, wolves, or foxes during the day when the sun is out and the light is good for photography. They like to stay hidden and come out when the sun's gone after sunset, when it's much cooler. For over 4 years, I went looking for hyenas, wolves, and foxes during the morning and evening light, which is the best time for photography. But I never came across any good photo opportunities. Much later in the evening, once the sun had set, I would see a pack of wolves in the distance, or a lone hyena, or a little fox darting around in the background, but the light was too low to get any good pictures. I'd come back to my hotel disappointed that despite all my efforts, I had no worthwhile photographs to show for it. But even these distant sightings gave me hope that perhaps someday I'd stumble across a good photo opportunity. Then one day, I had an unexpected and remarkable encounter with a male hyena. He was sprawled out, seemingly in a state of content slumber. I was thrilled with this sighting, especially since the hyena didn't seem to mind us being so close. I snapped away happily until it got dark, and that marked the end of my hyena encounters for a while. Then, about a year later, my guide called me and told me about some amazing sightings of hyena pups in the area. I couldn't resist and I rushed there at the first chance that I got. Over the next 3 days, I endured the sweltering summer heat in a jeep, bouncing up and down on rocky terrain. One moment my head would hit the roof, the next moment my elbow would slam against the side of the jeep. But despite all our efforts, we didn't see a single hyena in those 3 days. I was starting to feel disheartened, but my guide wasn't willing to throw in the towel just yet. This is where it's so important to have a good naturalist by your side, because not only do they help you to witness some incredible wildlife moments, but they also keep you motivated towards your goals. Fortunately, I've had the pleasure to work with some amazing naturalists all across India. Persistence paid off, and the following evening, luck was on our side. We saw a female hyena with four adorable pups. The light was wonderful, except that the sun was behind the hyenas. As a result, the images seemed washed out, with the sunlight streaming from the rocks behind them. But judging by the position of the sun, I was certain that the best time to click these hyena pups was at sunrise the following morning. So, after a sleepless night, as you can imagine, hoping that the hyenas would not relocate overnight, you see, hyenas tend to move their pups from one den to the other every few days. We returned the next morning. When we got there, the sun hadn't risen yet, and we waited in the darkness. While it was still quite dark, three little hyena pups came quietly came out to see what the new day had to offer. It was so heartwarming to watch them nuzzle and reassure each other by rubbing their bodies together. The light was still too low for photography, and every picture showed plenty of motion blur. But moments like this give me an opportunity to just sit back and enjoy the beauty of nature. You may have discovered this video from my book, Wildlife Photography Explained. In my book, I explain why patience and perseverance is important in wildlife photography and discuss ways in which you can develop these qualities. As time ticked by slowly, I could hear all the bird sounds and see the land getting slightly brighter every couple of minutes. I slipped into a meditative state of mind, yet the photographer in me hoped for a speedy sunrise, eager to start clicking these magical moments. As I observed the hyena pups learning their first life lessons together as a family, I couldn't help but smile and giggle with delight. It was heartwarming to see them bond and grow, knowing that one day they would venture off on their own solitary journeys. One of my most vivid memories from that morning was witnessing a couple of ravens gathering the courage to approach a piece of carcass. The little pups watched them with a mix of fear and curiosity, ready to retreat at any sign of danger. Now let's look at camera settings. My main intention is always to click large prints of the images that I click, and for that reason I don't like to increase my ISO beyond 400 to avoid any digital noise. Now I have a camera that does decent images even at 800 ISO, but using a lower ISO value helps in color accuracy. I set my ISO to 400 and aperture to 5.6, which is the widest setting on my 500mm lens. The shutter speeds turned out to be between 1/250th and 1/400th of a second. I always click pictures in the manual mode, so that way I don't leave any creative decisions to the camera and also avoid unpleasant surprises like shaky pictures due to slower shutter speeds or motion blur when the subject is moving too quickly. What I want you to know is sitting in a big city, it's easy to assume that wildlife tours require extensive planning and are very expensive, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Even just 2 or 3 days out in nature will bring you lots of joy, and I'm certain that there are wonderful wildlife opportunities close to you or just a short ride away. I'm Girish Menon, and I'm the author of Wildlife Photography Explained: Practical Tips from India's Jungles. I wrote this book with a simple goal in mind: to show you that you don't need many months of planning or long or many days away from work to enjoy wildlife. In fact, even a couple of days out in nature can bring you pure joy. Immerse yourself in breathtaking visuals and simple instructions that will help you to click better pictures of your own. If you haven't got a copy yet, then show your support by grabbing it now. The purchase link is waiting for you in the description below.